Hi there, I'm Jen Hand, your food coach for helping you end your battle with eating. And today we are diving into the 5 most common struggles on the food and body journey and how to gracefully navigate through them. So a heads up, I also did a podcast on this, the Cake Doesn't Count podcast. You can check that out on my site or on iTunes. But if you'd rather listen to the audio, hop on over there because there is an episode up, fresh, brand new, and ready for you to digest. But I was also inspired to do a video. So here I am. So let's dive right in. The 5 most common struggles. These are based on my experiences with clients, my work with myself, and just being in this industry for the last few years and seeing women struggle with the same thing again and again and again. And these truly were also my 5 top struggles. And I wanted to give you some tips and tools of how to be aware of them and then navigate through them. So the first one is... Actually, before I tell you the first one, I want to say be open, be receptive, take what resonates with you, leave the rest, because you might have some resistance to these. And I say that because if someone had told me number 1 and number 3 early on in my journey, I would have fought tooth and nail to prove them wrong and be like, no, this is not a struggle. This is not true. So I want you to be aware of just being open. And if some of them resonate and others don't, that is totally fine. As always, with everything I teach and I talk about, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Come back later, skip it all together. But my intention really is to help you connect to you and to hear your body signals and your wisdom and dive deeper into you. And that's what I want to do with this video. So the first one is letting your desire for weight loss come before anything else. So letting that desire for weight loss come first. And this keeps us stuck so often because we start dieting because we want to lose weight. Very innocently sometimes, but we diet because we're unhappy with our bodies and we want to lose weight. So when we start this path of finding our normal, of putting down the diets, of trying to learn how to hear what our body is saying and discover a way of eating that works for us, it can be really hard to put down the desire for weight loss. So I want to tell you that it doesn't mean you can't be at a comfortable weight. It doesn't mean you can't want to be at a comfortable weight. What I mean here is that we have to let something else become more important than weight loss. Why? Because what happens when we get obsessed over it, when we desperately grasp onto this end result, we keep ourselves stuck and we keep ourselves unhappy and disappointed. And with the dieting mentality, we often have this, do this to get this. Follow this for 30 days and you'll lose 10 pounds. Eat this way and then you'll be happy with your body. And we reverse that mentality on this path is that we don't do something for a result. Yes, we can examine how food feels in our body. We can look at nutrition very gently and find what nourishes us and keep evolving the way we eat and how we have a relationship with food. But it also, to move us forward, it is so helpful to put weight loss second, or maybe third, or maybe fourth, but to really put health first, to put life first, to put a passion first, to put your connection with yourself first and finding that happiness within. Anything goes above weight loss can really propel you forward. And this was very true in my own journey. When I moved to Colorado 8 or 9 years ago now, I went on my last Weight Watchers diet right before I moved just to lose those last few pounds. And you know how it goes. I got obsessed. I got crazy. I was like, oh, this is insane. Why am I doing this? And that was the last diet I ever went on. But what happened when I moved to Colorado is that weight loss started to become second. And I started exploring and having adventures and going camping and finding hikes and starting a business and experimenting with blogging. And all of these things became first, and weight loss started to move down that list. It didn't mean I didn't care. It didn't mean that it didn't sometimes come back of like, oh my gosh, why am I not losing weight? But what happened over time is that my body did start to naturally come to a weight that was a little bit more comfortable for me. So letting that desire for weight loss just fall a little bit more slowly down that list can really help us move forward. The second thing is comparing yourself to others, a huge obstacle on this path. And what happens when we look at someone else who does keto and has lost 30 pounds, or is on Weight Watchers and seems to have it all together, or we see someone on social media, we're like, oh man, I want their body. They look like they just really are comfortable in themselves. They look great. They look thin. They look smaller. And we start to compare our journey with theirs. What this does is A, can send us back into the diet world, and B, it can be a very unfair comparison, and it hinders our progress of focusing on our own wins, our own progress, our own achievements, and our own momentum that we have forward on our own journey. And the reality is, comparing ourselves with someone else's diet journey, someone else's food journey, someone else's body journey is really not fair, because we're comparing our internal struggles, hardships, battles to their outsides, to their snapshots, to what they're saying, to what their image they're projecting on social media. And it makes us feel like we're not enough. And when we can focus back on ourselves, on our own journeys, on our own path, on our own wins, on our own small victories in this path, it keeps us aligned with ourselves and our truth and what works for us, not what works for someone else. And it helps momentum carry forward and not keep us stuck when we have that mental battle of like, oh, but their body looks better than mine, or that diet worked for them, or they lost a lot of weight. It keeps us focused on ourselves. The third thing, and this is another one you might have a little bit of resistance on, is wanting a smaller body before you accept yourself. Now, if someone told me this early on in my journey, I would have been like, nope, I need a smaller body before I accept my body. And again, a huge, huge struggle on this path. Why? Because we're so conditioned to think that having a smaller body will bring more happiness. Having a thinner version of ourselves will yield higher body satisfaction. And the reality is that we can get to that size and still not have that internal happiness we want. We can have that fleeting moment where we fit into those X pant size or that dress we've always wanted to fit into, and then we end up stress eating and go down a rabbit hole and gain a few pounds back. So this notion of having a smaller body before we accept ourselves is an illusion, keeps us stuck, and really isn't true. And I've lived it so many times. I have a bunch of chapters in my book that talk more specifically about that. And it really is a myth. And that's, again, not to say you can't want to be at a comfortable weight. You can't want to feel good in your skin. You can't want to feel confident and at ease and at home in your body. Those are amazing things to want. Yes, let's work towards them. And it's not an external fix. It's not that we lose the weight, then we look in the mirror and we like ourselves. It's we start to cultivate that inner acceptance, that inner compassion, that inner sense of more openness with our bodies and more, I don't even want to say acceptance, more kindness to our bodies, more gratitude with our bodies, and that moves us towards full acceptance. The fourth thing is thinking that there's an end to get to. This, hands down, was such a huge roadblock for me because all I wanted to do was get to the end. I remember starting this work and telling the woman I worked with, like, I just can't wait to be done. I can't wait to not have to think about it. I can't wait to not just have this thing in my mind all the time where I focus on food and my body and obsess over it. And the thing is that we'll always be eating. We'll always be thinking about food in the sense of we've got to fuel our bodies every day as long as we live. And we have bodies, so we're inhabiting them as long as we're here. And we're never done evolving. We're never done changing. We're never done deepening our relationship to ourselves and our body and the way we eat. Thinking of it as deepening your relationship forever with your spouse, your partner, or if you've had a relationship in the past, like we're always hopefully learning new things about each other and evolving and being more intimate and deepening our connection and getting to know that person better and better and better and better as we are in a relationship with them. And it's that same thing with ourselves. Think of it as we're always getting to know ourselves more deeply in our food, with our bodies, with our weight. And so the fifth struggle is actually the flip side of this, in that thinking that we'll never get to the end, thinking that it'll never be over. And I know those sort of contradict, the way I'm saying it is sort of contradictory, but thinking there will never be an end doesn't mean that you won't ever get out of the cycle. And when you're in it, when you are in that binge space or starting that diet again, or just so frustrated with your body and the way it looks, you can think that you'll never be out of it. Like you're just like, I'm going to live this way forever. Like, is there any hope for me? And I want to reignite that hope or that fire or that belief that yes, you can be out of the cycle. Your relationship to your food and your body and your weight will always evolve. And you can still get out of the cycle. So the distinction is that there's no end. Number 4, thinking that there's no end, or thinking you want to get to the end, because we're always living, we're always eating, our bodies will always be changing, and that relationship will always be evolving. Versus number 5, thinking that you'll never get out of it. Like, yes, yes, yes. I remember thinking this so clearly, like, I will just never stop binging. I'm just going to binge forever. I can't see a way out of this. And I want you to know that you absolutely can believe in being out of the diet and binge cycle. So those are my top 5, excuse me, most common struggles on this path and how to gracefully navigate them. I am hosting a food and body mastermind starting the first week of October. If you want to get on the email list, that's where I'll be opening enrollment. And I am so beyond excited because this will be the first time that we are having real, authentic conversations about bringing weight into the discussion. Because we start this journey wanting to lose weight because we diet. That's why we're doing it, typically. And when we are finding our normal, we try and stuff that away. Like, I'm not supposed to want to lose weight. And so I want to have real conversations about the holistic view of releasing weight, why we hold on to weight, how we can explore that in a way that's not a diet. And so that is one of the reasons why I started this mastermind. It's a small group program, 4 to 6 women in each group. And we are really going deep. So there's no judgment, no shame, openly sharing, being vulnerable, going into those places where we heal deeply and for the long haul. So if you are interested in getting more information, I'm opening it up next week, last week of September. So hop on my email list if you want more. And thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these 5 most common struggles and how you navigate through them.